Hello, welcome. So this video is going to be a little bit different as I want to talk to you a little bit about the craft. So last video I mentioned about my ribbons and I thought that I would put a video together all about the different colours that are well, essentially colour magic, so the colours and its associations, and how we can apply that in not only everyday situations but in tarot and in spell work. So this is just a little video all about the different colours and its associations. Now I'm not going to go through all of these jazzy colours that I've got because these can mean totally different things depending on who pulls it out and my intuition at the time. So I am going to start off with some of the more basic colours. Now, as mentioned, each of my ribbons has its own unique theme, its own unique story. But this video is just going to focus on what these colours, the simple colours, can represent, okay? Rather than going through this ribbon means this and this ribbon means that. So yeah. Now, in terms of colour magic, you can go online, so you can go on Google and you can type in colour magic or colour associations, witchcraft, and it does come up with quite a few guides and information. So one of the ones that I do recommend is something called Every Witch Way. So every witch as in WITCH way. You can also take a look on Google Images. So this one is not very good because it's not printed it out in quality. But yeah, it does have all the colours. It even has things like teal and peach. So depending on what website you go on and the information that's available, they may give you different colours. Essentially, they should say the same thing. Some bits of information may come out a little bit different, but essentially this should have one singular theme. Okay. So first and foremost, we'll get right into it. And we'll start off with a couple of the, I suppose, the main two. Okay. Now, first and foremost, we'll start with black. Okay. So black is a very popular colour. It's something that we all gravitate towards. People who are part of the craft like to wear black because it represents protection. So it protects us against negative energy. It's also known as an absorber. So it can absorb energy, it can banish energy. It basically is a nice big comfort. So often when it comes to tarot bags or when it comes to pendulum mats, especially the ones that I make, I always make sure that the underside is black to block any negativity or to make sure that we don't have anything interfering with the reading. Now, although white is the complete opposite colour, or you would think it's the opposite colour, it actually has similar properties, or at least it shares one property, which is protection. Now, whilst this one black banishes, white purifies. So it's all about purity. It's all about peace. So even though the two colours are from one extreme to another, they share that protection trait. Do you cleanse or do you absorb? Do you welcome in peace or do you banish energy? Okay, now moving on to primary colours. So first off, I'm going to go over yellow. So yellow, remember happiness, remember sun, sunny days, think of good times, positivity. That's what yellow typically represents. So it represents that joy, it represents positivity. It can also represent success, but I always remember it as positivity. Moving on to blue. Okay. So blue, I always say that blue represents our health. So our physical and mental health. But blue can also represent wellness, tranquility. Blue also represents, it can be connected to our throat chakra. And our throat chakra is all about communication. So it is to do with communication as well. Yellow can also represent solar plexus. So it can also remind us about confidence. White represents crown chakra, and that can represent our connection to divinity as well. Coming on to red, the final primary. So red, I always remember red being associated with courage, to stand up for what you believe in. So I always see this as strength, as courage. It can also represent passion. It can represent a bit of romance as well. But I always remember this as strength, our courage. Now, coming on to green, mix of blue and yellow. So green can represent fertility. So it can represent earth. It can also represent abundance. It can also represent wealth, money as well. Green also can represent our heart chakra. So our heart chakra is all about love, loving self. Purple, I know this is a thin purple, but mix of blue and red. So purple is known as the royal colour within colour magic. It's what a lot of witches gravitate towards too, and there is a good reason for that. So purple connects to our third eye. It connects to our psychic ability. So purple is all about psyche. It's all about divination as well. Developing our spiritual side. Then, last of the secondary colours, we have orange. Okay, the orange being a mix of yellow and red. Orange reminds me of my hobby. So orange is all about creativity. It can also be about passion, linking into red. It can also be about joy and joy and positivity, like yellow. It can also represent busy moments. Okay, busy, getting our hands busy, getting our mind busy, all that kind of stuff. So this one, I know that on camera it kind of looks yellow, but this is a deeper yellow. This is gold, or at least this is what I have dubbed as gold. So gold, I always think of the sun, and I think of sun instead of S-U-N, I think of S-O-N, sun, a sun, a male. Gold is all about that male energy. It is all about the sun, so it can represent masculine, the god. It can represent strength, positivity, wealth. Think of gold coin. Opposite to that, we have silver. So if gold is all about masculine, then silver is all about feminine. I often associate it with the moon, and I remember that the moon is feminine. Yes, the moon is feminine. And it also links into our intuition. So whenever silver comes up, it's all about intuition, feminine side, the goddess. Two other colours that I've not talked about that should be mentioned is pink. So pink, lighter form of red, it's a bit more gentler. So remember before we said that red can be associated with passion? Well, think of a softer red. That's what pink is. So instead of it being passion, it's more friendship. It's more love. Now this can represent self-love. It can represent a new friendship. Okay, so it's very much a softer colour. Moving on to brown. Okay. So brown, again, think of the earth, but think about what's underneath the green earth. We have soil. Soil gives us stability. I often say that this, I wasn't going to talk about what ribbons represent, but it does help me remember. So being stable, I often think of this ribbon as being stuck in the mud or stuck in a rut, so to speak. We're trying to move, but our legs can't move forward. Brown can help us with decision making. It can help us gain that strength, gain that stability in order to move forward. So now we've talked about all of the basic colours, and as mentioned, there'll be other websites that you can go onto and it'll tell you about teal, peach, champagne, bronze even, but all of them will have these roughly these colours. So now that's the colours. How can we use them in the craft? Well, first and foremost is within tarot. Okay. So yes, each tarot card has its own meaning, its own themes. We can begin to relate our knowledge of colours to tarot. So for example, looking at this one right here, 8 of Swords, we have swords, which typically is silver, so it's talking about intuition. We have white, purity. We have stability of brown. We have the blue of emotion. She's dressed in red. Strength. She's trying to find strength. She's trying to find the courage to get herself out of this situation. She has to trust her intuition and calm her mind in order to move forward. Okay. Again, strength, justice. We have gold this time, representing male. Can also represent wealth. We have green, which links into abundance. We also have purple, developing our intuition. But you can begin to associate these colours with tarot. And by learning these colours, it may help you in learning tarot a bit more. And you don't have to rely on a book. Okay, so how about some other ways that we can use colours in our craft? Well, you may know that I make goddesses. Okay, so these are goddess dolls. So the base colour can represent, you know, psyche, ability, that kind of thing. We can have little elements from the swirl, from this, you know, you can add to it. I do make little keyrings, voodoo keyrings, and this is something that I did want to talk about as well. This is a dammit doll, also known as a voodoo hoodoo doll or a poppet doll. And these have a very bad rep. So he may look evil, but he isn't. He's just made that way. We can begin to use colours in the craft. So we can use different coloured candles, okay, to represent, I don't know, if we're going to bring in abundance, we're going to use green. If we're going to banish something, we use black. If we're going to purify something, we use white, that kind of thing. And the same can be said or applied to using a poppet. Now, thanks to media and people misinterpreting what a poppet is used for, it is given a negative connotation. Now, yes, it can be used as negativity. It can be used in negative situations. However, I'm trying to develop your knowledge and develop your tool set to tell you that it doesn't have to be negative. In actual fact, years and years ago, it used to be used as a sign of positive. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, oh yeah, this is all positive, all positive. No, it can be used for negative, but please note it can be used for positive. I often give it this face because then people don't ask what I'm doing. You know, if they don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to. If that face doesn't look very welcoming, you're not going to ask questions, are you? There's always method in the madness. So, poppets. Poppets come from Wicca, voodoo, hoodoo. Okay. And these are used for representing a person and influencing them. So people that are... There's a cat. So for people that are like me and prefer to see or do with... I don't know if you can hear me. They prefer to see what they are doing. You know, it helps to pinpoint that magic a little bit better. Now it does come from so the word poppet does come from Old Folk English or Middle English for small child or doll. Actions performed on the doll will influence the person. So as I said, it can be used for good or it can be used for negative. And I want to give you basically an overview as to how it can be used for positive and how it can be used for negative. So when you purchase a Dammit doll, this one is a small Dammit doll, okay? It does come with pins. So I do try to give you at least 2 of every colour, and then for white and black I give you about 3 or 4 of these. But as you can see, we have all the colours, okay? No? Okay. So we have black, we have white, we have, I know that this is not quite yellow, but it's the best that I could do. We have red, we have pink. Unfortunately, we don't have orange, but have no fear, we can use our trusty white to represent orange. Okay, we also have green, we have purple, we have blue. Okay. And then obviously you can expand these, create your own and that kind of thing. So first off, I want to start with how can we bring positive to people. So let's say we want to bring in a bit of friendship or a bit of self-love to someone. I'm going to take this, which is pink. I'm going to put it into the heart for self-love. Okay. We are bringing in self-love to this person. If we want this person to have a little bit of money, a little bit of wealth, I'm going to take a green, pop it into a hand. If we want this person to develop psyche, give them a purple. Red, we want them to have more courage, especially taking that step forward. We want them to have a bit more courage. Let's say blue, we want them to have good mental and physical health. Good physical health. If there's an ailment that somebody has, so let's say their back really plays up, I want them to have a good healthy back. Let's say I want them to have protection. Now, for many people, you're probably thinking, oh, I need a lot of those. You do get 4, so you can put them everywhere. Okay. White, purity. We can purify the mind, we can bring peace to someone, bring peace to someone's heart, okay? And so on and so forth. So by stabbing it in, we can bring it to someone. Now, as you can imagine, when using this for negativity, we can begin to take away things. So we can take away their strength, so they can no longer take that step forward. We can reduce their income. We can take away their purity, their protection, sorry. We can break off that friendship. It is all about your intention. So even though we've brought in good health, we can say, right, I want to stab him in the back. It's all about your thought process and your energy when you are doing this, okay? Another thing that we can do with our Damn It doll is create like a little spell jar, or you can put in like herbs. So we also have plant associations. So this is a book that I often reach for, the Encyclopedia of Magical Ingredients. Now this is a Wiccan guide, however it is a good guide. So right at the end you have these tables which tells you all about the different ones for love, different ones for friendship, all that kind of stuff. So you could fill up a little bottle like this and you can tie it to the person. Say person, the poppet. It's not the best representation, but as long as it's on there. There you go. Okay. And then that would bring that magical energy to that person. Now I don't have one at the moment, but I do also make a Reiki doll. So a Reiki doll has all of the chakras present, and then someone would take crystals or something and they would target those. But you can do the same with a poppet. So we have white, which is the crown. Come on. There we go. Purple, third eye. Blue, which is the throat. Then we have green, which is the heart. Then we have yellow, which is the solar plexus. We have orange. I don't have an orange, so I'm just going to use something close to orange for the sacral, chakral, yeah. And then we have red for the root. Okay. So as you can see, it's not just for negativity. We can use it for positive. We can use it for the chakra. Just because it looks evil doesn't mean it is evil. I often give it this face because people don't ask questions, and I like it when people don't ask questions, because trying to explain what it is you're doing is a little bit tricky. Yeah, and it can be a bit awkward conversation. So that is it for the colours and its associations and how to use them in everyday life or spell work or anything like that. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more content around the craft, there's a lot of things that I could talk about. So like elements, I can talk about making an altar, I can talk about the moon phases and what the moon phases mean. I can go through a couple of spells that I use in my everyday life. Yeah, there's a lot that I can talk about. So if there's something that you want me to cover, or if you just in general want information like this, leave a comment, like the video, let me know that you want more of this, because if not, I'm never going to do it ever again. And I'll just stick to my normal market content instead. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.